Welcome to Influence, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of influencer marketing and the creator economy with the people who know it best, the agents, creators, and streamers who operate behind the scene. This podcast is hosted by Powder, where streamers can search their best moments to find short, shareable stream clips with AI. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Olga Wese, founder of Join Media Group, JMG for short. Olga's illustrious career as an entrepreneur with deep experience in how influencer marketing meaningfully sells games spans over a decade. Her companies JMG and LEV Media have set new standards in connecting games with audiences through influencer collaborations on platforms like YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok, and across geographies, languages, and scales, from smaller influencers to A-list celebrities. It's really great to have her with us today. Welcome, Olga.
Thanks so much for having me, Alisa.
Well, so just to kick things off, I would love to get some background on how you ended up in influencer marketing to begin with. What drew you to the industry and what opportunity did you see there?
Well, I eventually was working in the gaming market where I just happened to be since 2006, just on accident. And I always considered myself lucky that I ended up this way. And the influencer topic in gaming industry started to evolve around, I would say, 2015, if I'm not mistaken, something around that time, 15 to 17 is when I joined. And I always was pretty interested in this market and was trying to get some job back then by Nivali, which did not work out. So I was never working for the company. And later I was advising my friends to start influencer marketing business, almost like I was talking to myself. Do this direction. Yeah, so I was very interested. I met with these companies. I've heard what they're selling, what their value proposition is, and I found it always very exciting. The gaming industry was booming and growing. The influencer space was growing. So this was like a crossover of two great industries and a great dynamic as well, and awesome fit as well for games. And but not only for games, also obviously for influencers. So in the end of the day, I started working as a sales in a company who would integrate influencers or celebrities inside the game in the form of pre-recorded short videos. And from then on, I already turned into founder of the influencer marketing agency.
Very cool. And what were some of the questions that your friends wanted to know about the market? Like what were the kinds of questions you were advising on that seemed kind of obvious to you, but maybe to an outsider were very complicated?
So back then, I guess the questions were coming from people who would just acquiring traffic in different normal, usual sources. And back then, influencer traffic was like a wild space, or the in general, the visibility you could get there. Nobody really knew how to leverage into influencers towards performance, which was always a strong element for specifically mobile games where I'm coming from. And I was advising it more on this end, that there is this opportunity. And back then, the first companies who entered the market, they were more into the affiliation part of the business. So they would have performance deal with influencers. This is how I first learned about it. And later on, understanding in the whole power of influencers as celebrity, I came into this business where the influencers were actually integrated into the product, and they had a way better impact on the product and effect.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And how do you think? Okay, I think one thing that really interests me right now in influencer marketing is that, as you mentioned, affiliate marketing has been around for quite a long time. It's not a secret to get a new unique UTM link as a creator, so you can attribute traffic a little bit. How do you think that has evolved today, or what do you think it has changed into, and what do you think is different about it now? I know you alluded just now to the way that that influencers are incorporated into games themselves, for example. But what are you seeing in that respect?
What I see is that influencers are positioned between performance and branding, performance marketing, pure brand awareness. So there's something in between. And a lot of the clients we're working with, they're primarily focused on the performance element. However, we also see that clients started to understand the how to leverage influencer power better and not considering them as a traffic source as before. Before that, it was like, okay, I'm just putting my link there and here we go. I have some conversion and push the user towards the funnel. But nowadays they understand it better. They learned about who the influencers are, what kind of power they also have on their audience, and understood how to leverage them better for the sake of the campaign. So even though it might look a little bit like brand awareness, in many cases, if you know how to leverage the influencer power in a complex way and not only use the tracking link and the shout out to collaborate with an influencer, the result could bring the performance. But it took clients a lot of time to figure this out, what additional value influencers are bringing and how to specifically leverage that and how to do this type of collaborations.
So when you're looking at a campaign and you're not kind of doing the like pure measurement of traffic and shout outs and things like that, what are you looking for? How do you know when a kind of branding focused activation is a success? And how do you know when you're watching one, whether it's one that came from one of your campaigns or one that you're seeing on the internet, whether you're like, I don't think that one's so effective?
At least for our clients, the performance will always be in the first line, some sort of performance. Whatever KPI they're chasing for, there has to be some measurement of the campaign. And on the specific big beats, it's pretty complex and it's including PR as well, for example. But we, as an agency who are also providing the creative solutions for the campaigns, we're always trying to have some point of attribution where we can attribute where we can measure actually the campaign itself. So one thing is to measure CPMs or clicks or installs. The other ways to create funnels which would give you an additional attribution point, even though the campaign can be creative and focused on the non-trackable formats, let's say. So it's pretty complex topic, but initially everybody started with the direct link attribution and CPM. That's what the basic is.
Yeah. And what was the first, or what is an example of a campaign that you guys have worked on that used this kind of approach, or like, maybe an approach that you had to kind of discuss with the client that the KPIs you would be looking at might not be the ones that they came in the door with? That was a very successful campaign.
The most successful campaigns we had, which were focused inside the product and also on the outside, but the integration with the campaign was so deep, and with influencers, either it's one influencer or there are multiple. So this is where we see the best results for the product, because we are able to bring the people inside the game and fairly deep in there. So we believe that the creative influencer marketing has to be performance marketing, but has to be deeply integrated and well thought through. Less and less believe in this shout out type of business where a lot of influencers are working on the same brief and just put the ad in your face.
So when you're driving people deeper into the game, do you find that the approach is similar for a mobile game versus a PC versus a console game that you're working with, or how do those approaches differ depending on the funnel and the device of the player?
They're rather different than similar. In fact, in many cases, very different. How they approach the campaigns, how they spend the budget, what the KPIs they're targeting. The mobile games are specifically very focused on the positive ROAS, return on ad spend, and this is how they measure the success of the campaign, where PC games are looking into long-term collaborations with influencers and the community building. It's very heavy on the community side, and the big PC games, they are being carried by the community, and GTA 5 it's
Yep.
been there forever. And why is it still existing on YouTube in this amount is that the community is carrying it. So that's
Absolutely.
a different goal. On the mobile game side, there is a lot of push approach where there has to be a constant investment into the marketing, because the moment when you stop investing, you kind of going down the top grossing list. And so the approach is here more towards big beats, big impact, positive ROI, rather than community building in the first line. Also, the games having way shorter production timeline, and there are a lot of games appearing on the market too. So all in all, it's very different. But I could say that recently a lot of games, mobile first games or PC first games, they started to collide a little more, and developing cross-platform solutions, developing the clients for different platforms, and therefore they have multiple buttons to press and more complex approach to the market as well. So I see recently that this is getting a little bit more together, where recently, before several years ago, it was so different and separated, where now we see more common approach to the market and cross-platform pushes of the products.
Interesting. And how do you then select influencers or celebrities for campaigns for these different approaches? If someone's a lot more community focused versus for a product that's really just looking for like the best bang for their buck, what factors are you considering to make sure that an influencer is a good fit?
First of all, we need to get as much data as possible about the audience of the game, the actual users or potential users, and the goals. For example, sometimes the companies decide to enter new spaces and approach the audience, new audience with different interests. So depending on this user profile, we will start looking for the influencer, and it's not always very obvious. Often we have the request from the clients where they like some celebrity or like some big influencer, or they think that this is a good fit, but while we're starting digging into that, there could be a lot of mismatch with their goal and with their audience. So the audience is first for us. We do not sell influencers. We do not sell celebrities. We actually do campaigns which bring new or relevant audience through these influencers or through celebrities. So product first for us, audience first.
How do you know when it's the right opportunity to recommend a like big celebrity, let's say? Because I'm sure for some people coming in the door, that's what they think they want. But then for many other people, where they describe their perfect audience to you and they hadn't previously considered someone who's like very high profile, perhaps then you suggest it to them. How do you know when that's the right fit?
Well, there is a lot of digging actually involved, including big platforms and their data backed up as well. So that's not something we are just recommending based on our feeling, because sometimes there are 7-digit decisions and the planning is going for a a year or more to hire this or that celebrity. It has to be a very well thought through campaign. Plus, we always recommend to go deep with this collaboration and do not do it in a superficial way. There is no such solution or website where we just put the data and it will tell us the perfect match.
When you then come equipped with the data and then you suggest a celebrity, for example, I mean, it might not be. Sometimes you work with an influencer who is more niche for a specific audience, but what challenges do you face when you are integrating more high profile people into a product campaign? And how do you typically overcome them? So you mentioned, for example, that sometimes it takes a year to get a celebrity on board. What other things like that do people not really consider very much when they're imagining having, like, some very, very famous person in their campaign?
Yeah, actually, celebrity business is very different from normal influencer business. From the timeline, what you need to time you need to invest in research and negotiation and so on to the whole production and execution of the deal. The challenge, there are a lot of challenges in fact. So first of all, there is a certain due diligence process where you need to undergo on both ends. So not only you are checking the celebrity to a very tiny detail, like is there any controversy or was in the past? Is it any specific mismatch with the current campaign message or whatever, anything? And not only you have to figure it out prior to the campaign, you have to maintain it, because imagine there's something happening along the line and you're already 6 months in, the person is integrated
Yeah.
in the product and you have some drama. So it's a big risk to take. So it has to be someone very stable, someone who can attract the right audience, not only be famous but also actually be able to bring your people through the funnel into your product, and relevant audience which would connect with your product as well, with the game. And on the influencer side, it's also needed to because we're not talking most of the time with the talents directly, we talk to their
Right.
agents and managers, right? So there is specific process involved of how do we pitch the product? Why is it so exciting? The opportunity. Then the product has to be verified by the legal team and so on. So there's a lot of preparation work. The dealing with their lawyers is another piece of joy, which which can last some 3 good months.
Yeah, it can last a really long time.
Absolutely, and it can be quite some journey as well. We had these situations. I remember once I was just enjoying myself on Sunday. It was pretty early, like 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I have nothing to do. Maybe I should go to bed earlier. And then the lawyer called me on Sunday and created some unnecessary drama. So then it was done with my relaxing evening. So that's one part of that. And then later the production, actually we need to watch that the celebrity is professional, has a specific experience in being in the ad, can work on the set, that we can do a needed amount of creative with the celebrity during this time, that he will appear or she at the set in a good state and conditions. A lot of things which needs to be controlled, because especially if you're gathering everybody at the production set, from that moment nothing can go wrong, basically shouldn't.
Right. You've spent so much time, so much money getting the set ready.
That's a pretty complex operation, starting with the research, ending up with the production. I would say production per production are the least stressful
Right.
and actually really enjoyable moments.
And so let's say you're preparing a set like that. How many people are typically working on set? And then how long does that take? before the campaign even goes live?
For us, the post production is typically 1 to maximum 2 months based on the complexity of the production.
Yep.
But that's pretty much it. That's a fast part. The whole preparation, the pre-production stage is usually the longest. But then we also have the social media component to each of these campaigns. When the campaign goes live, then the next drama can obviously evolve again and appear. But then we are already kind of in the same boat, and everybody just wants to get it out.
Everyone wants to get it done by then.
Yeah, by then everybody is ready to pop it out. So I guess in terms of the risks, the first half is the most wacky.
I bet. And are there ever situations, I mean, I'm sure there are, where like things seem like they're going to go great and then like there's some public scandal and then like you just have to call it?
We have seen a lot of this, or on influencer side, on or their change of heart by the signing of the agreement. I just can't bring up the names, but
yeah, no, of course, please don't. You don't have to.
Yeah, we experienced all kind of funny and weird situations, but also situations we just like want to cry, basically.
Yeah, I bet.
So I can tell you, there is never a lack of shock, which you can just be exposed to in the influencer space. There's always something they're coming up with.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know I have friends who work in TV and film or work in like, music management and stuff like that, and it's very similar. It's not easy to get a lot of high profile people in one place. Like it sounds like, oh, you just like call some people and have them show up. Not so easy.
There is a lot of risk management in general, relationship management, process management involved, and it's absolutely different to influencer marketing in the classical sense.
Where do you think the industry's going? Like both from an influencer marketing perspective and then also from the perspective of this more like celebrity marketing as it relates to gaming and how that interacts with what we consider as influencer marketing. Like where is the market going? Where do you see potential for innovation or change?
From what we see in our profile of the agency, is the market is going towards the more complex campaigns and brand message. We see that influencers are great support to a big celebrity campaign, but can also be leveraged on their own. So we see the potential in more complex solutions with higher influencer engagement or celebrity engagement in the campaign itself. Less of, I have a marketing budget, let's spend it on influencer stuff, more into, I have a campaign, I have a message, I have a goal for that, and let's find the right people to partner with to reach this whole campaign goals. More on the thinking on the strategic and campaign level rather than the budget distribution level and turnaround.
So the teams usually come to you with the campaign predetermined, or do they encourage that the talent gets involved in the kind of architecture of the campaign and deciding like what that strategy could or should be?
Well, from our end, we're not a talent agency. So from our end, the campaign level is the most frequent for us. And in terms of the specific campaign around one influencer, there's always has to be someone of a relevant scale. But also we had such campaigns, and we also successful campaigns, creative campaigns, where the talents were involved in the process of the creation too. But it's like, I would say, less of the case for us. We do have that, but because just for a simple reason, when we operate and collaborate with our partners, advertisers, then we are focused to reach some internal goal of their product growth or reactivation. And on influencer end, it has to still be aligned with some goal of the product, because the product is never interested in just collaborating for the sake of collaborating. Therefore, the talent has to fit into the whole idea of the product, the scope, their internal goals. It has to be a great match. Otherwise, there is no point, absolutely, of doing so. And then we can do, let's say, a cooperative work on the creative side and integrate it as deep as possible with the users of the specific influencer. Oh, not the users, viewers of the influencer.
And
So the project is more aligned for this specific channel.
And I have a question for you that's maybe like a little bit out of left field, but when you're hiring people for your team, because they need to have a unique skill set of like being able to kind of work with the brand, of being able to understand the strategy, but then also kind of understanding which talent in the market might be applicable to this brand and executing over a long time frame. What are the qualities that you are looking for in someone to join your team? And what do you think makes someone who's exceptional at working across? I mean, I know you guys work across a lot of geographies, a lot of languages, a lot of like talent scale.
So, as you mentioned, we are deep into the multi-geo kind of global approach, cross-channel marketing. And most of our clients are gaming clients or non-endemic brands, which are very interested in gaming audience too. Therefore, we need experts in these fields on a crossover of gaming and social media. So, primarily, often young or semi-young people.
Like us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like us. No, not like us. Younger than me,
Yes,
for
much
sure.
younger.
So who have deep understanding in this area. We in a very like old days, let's say, we would hire talented people outside of the industry, and we could see the difficulties they had to face by being in such a specific market like gaming. It's not what comes naturally if you're not a gamer, if you do not consume social media, and you know, do not know, like super far away from any of that. So that's the number one absolutely must have for us. And then we work a lot, we work hard, we have to be available long hours and to be flexible, and it can take a toll on you over time. So we need highly motivated people who want to develop themselves as professionals and work on absolutely cool, big, and interesting campaigns. But it's not coming with nothing. So long hours, travels, working across the time zones. Solution-oriented mentality where you deal with a lot of issues and problems and have to find good solutions for that. Very flexible mindset and solution-oriented for sure.
No, it makes a lot of sense. But I think it's interesting to like think about it from that perspective, because it's true. I mean, there are some in every industry, in every type of business, there is a certain profile that will perform better at it than others. And because of the nature of this kind of work, I mean, you have to be, as you mentioned, exceptional at relationship management, at logistics management, at self-management, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's really cool to hear you articulate some of those traits.
There are so much more to that. Also, you have to be a great negotiator and can hold your own line and keep the company's interest and defend the client's interests as well at the same time, and balance between the talent and the client. So it's a lot. It's a lot of skill to be brought.
It is, and especially, I mean, back in the days when I was a journalist, I had a column at a magazine where I would interview celebrities, about what they ate for breakfast, like something completely benign and simple. And yet, to get the celebrities like through the process from like agreeing to do the column all the way through like publishing the issue, what took so long, so much negotiation, so much back and forth, like so many checks, like remove this question, like meet them in a hotel room while they're like breastfeeding with so, it's like really just like a different universe, you know?
Yeah, I can totally see it. Especially our clients, a lot of them are coming from performance marketing, especially mobile games.
Yep. Wow.
And they're like, the type of how they grew the business, they figure out really good creatives, they put the campaign up, they put a lot of money behind, and they started optimizing the performance on the platforms, on the networks. And you don't have to have this nonsense conversation with anybody outside of your company, and the instability of the relationships.
Yeah, yeah. Like performance marketing is so you get immediate feedback on how it's going and you optimize. You just like move money from like what's not working to what's working and then like back and then you like you do tests and you see and then you reallocate, it's like quite direct and the information is black and white. Like it tells you your cost for the action you're optimizing for and like that's it.
It's understandable, where here there is a person involved, and often this person is not. You mentioned recently the question, what could be done better? And I feel some agents, specifically the talent management, I they create more problem than solution in the deal, which make us, for example, not be willing to book the specific talent anymore.
Yep.
We obviously were trying to maintain great relationships with all market players, but if I would wish something for this industry, is the more professional approach to the business, because we are the business oriented company and we are working
Yep.
on the advertiser side, which are top spenders and huge machines,
Yeah.
with thousands of people involved. And here we're trying to hire one influencer who decides this one morning and the other thing another morning, and or as we go, just in between, or just before the release, and all of the above. I wish that all the players would act more professional,
Totally.
and just understand that despite that they're stars and talents, that they're still providing services to the clients.
Yeah, and in your experience, what are the telltale signs of like a great agent or a great talent to work with? And how, I mean, I think people are always wondering how to like avoid that scenario. How do you kind of de-risk the talent you're working with or the agent that you're working with when you're starting those conversations? Like, are there any signs that you kind of look out for to be like, maybe this won't be a very responsive or professional individual to tie our campaign to?
The characteristics we appreciate in the agents or in talents, the first of all is reliability. So we can rely on the talent that if he or she said to be involved in the campaign, that's what's gonna happen, and especially when the contract is signed. So we do appreciate to work with people who respect the legal side of the agreement, and follow through it, be on time, receive and elaborate on the feedback, and the good the important also part of it is actually think of the product when they are promoting it. Like, download the game and check what am I promoting and why am I
Totally.
promoting. Building a little bit more personal connection to it. I always think, if I were an influencer, I would have done a better job, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
So I'm sure you guys have an internal like wiki or a playbook or something like that. Someone new joins the team, as you expand the team, as you expand your circle of trust to other people on the team. At what point in the life cycle of JMG did you start developing resources like that? When were you like, you know what, I need to kind of decentralize this information so that everyone can operate with the same principles but separately?
It's not about centralizing the information only, it's about building in the processes, building them into the daily operation. I'm not running the influencer team for a while now already, and but I was building it back then, so I
Yep.
know it to a great detail, and it has to be automated. First of all, in the people's brain, it doesn't matter how many documents you write. It has to be a specific process you're following, where you double check on the most important points and double check on the weakest spots where you know from the experience there could be a problem.
So for example, like what would that look like? Like what kinds of standing meetings would you guys have? What kinds of checkpoints would you institute?
There is one specific question which saves a lot of drama for you. Is to ask the agent, did you actually talk to influencer? When he's confirming you something, like he would say, yeah, we're interested. Like, did you talk to XYZ? And then he might say, well, I know that he will be interested. Or he can say, I'm going to talk to him once I have the contract in place. And then you're like, okay, so you didn't confirm it. That's, for example, one simple question which could prevent a lot of problems.
It could save so much drama.
Exactly, because a lot of the times they also treat their clients as the clients. Like our clients are advertisers, their clients are talents, and they want to have the most comfortable situation for their client, which I understand. So we're kind of here in the middle, trying to figure out the processes which work. And often there's this simple question which help you to save the campaign, or at least measure the risk accordingly.
To think about the market as a whole, what are the most significant trends do you think are the most impactful and are shaping the creator economy today? What are you observing, especially in gaming?
When I hear creator economy, I think of Mr. Beast and Feastable and all that big stuff. Which probably is far away from the normal, usual daily creator economy. From our end, and I'm telling you, as I mentioned before, we're not a talent agency, so our perspective on it is more from the advertiser perspective and advertiser point of view. So what we see and what we think the creators should do is to build a multi-platform presence. The platforms are coming and going, appearing, dying off, even with TikTok now, it's unpredictable. We don't know. It's unpredictable what's going to happen in US and how this will affect the entire company and their new app, which is Instagram alike. So, and on the other hand, we see a lot of interest for multi-platform activation of one specific talent, because even though they're communicating in different formats with their audience, there's still some specific profile of their audience following them across. And this would be my advice for any talent. Build the presence, don't be lazy. Build the presence, leverage your content on different platforms, because this could increase the quality of the influencer and also the their participation in the campaign.
What advice would you give to brands looking to enter or looking to advertise to gamers, looking to work with influencers or celebrities in this sector?
I would advise them not to do the classical way, because there are so many other brands using the same formats and existing forms. I'm not talking about seeding gameplays and information about the game and stuff. I'm more talking about stop advertising it in the face. Start talking to your audience and bring value through your advertisement. Be more creative, fun to watch.
So, what's an example of a campaign that you feel like did a really good job recently that maybe you saw out in the world that you thought took this like more creative approach and wasn't the way that like the not good way to do things in 2024?
Based on our specific experience, we really love our Jake Paul advertisement where he really showed himself, his own persona, and the way he lives, and the brand was integrated in his brand message, his personalized message as well. And it was fun to watch. It was a cool play. It was oriented, like a short format oriented. It was easy and pretty entertaining to watch too.
And could you give me a little bit more context around that? Because I'm not super familiar with the campaign. Like, what was the product? What was the location? What was the kind of broad message?
So, Jake Paul, who is a boxer and a fighter and the influencer, he started a long time ago with his brother on Vine, was in Disney, a big YouTuber, still he is.
Yep.
Later the boxer. And he has a even recent show on Netflix, which came out, I believe, last year, and now we're all awaiting his boxing match with Mike Tyson on Netflix this summer. So he's a big personality and very well known, and he was collaborating with our partner, Rush Royale. It's a strategy game, a tower defense game. And the goal was to show the campaign message was strategy, not strength, and which correlated really well with Jake because he's a boxer. And we playfully showed this message in 5 different ads. We shot it in his gym in Puerto Rico, so we all came there to make it comfortable for him.
Nice.
And it was a very fun day. We shot 5 ads on one day. It was as long as it could be day, but we had a lot of fun, and he was extremely professional. So, but the idea here that the message correlated really well with his audience and with the game itself, and we could playfully invite people to go and check out his character, which was inside the game.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I can see exactly what you mean from that example.
Yeah, you can see it on our LinkedIn profile. I believe we could see a little bit of snapshot of the ads.
So you kind of toggle between working with influencers and like kind of more traditional influencer marketing and with celebrities for like bigger ticket campaigns. On the influencer marketing side, what kinds of influencers are you typically working with? How do you structure those campaigns? When would you be like, no, like celebrity is not the right call? Like it's definitely 25 influencers in Germany who don't have any more than 10,000 followers.
It really depends on what the client wants, but in general, we would recommend to go for celebrity very, very carefully. And most of the time, ourselves are tending on finding a big influencer who is a celebrity, but also have a very strong presence on social media. We would not for sure recommend to go for fame only
Yep.
type of collaboration. It's very kind of a little bit old school approach, I would say.
No, I
Or
mean, I think,
no, it's not, it's yeah, it's incorrect. It's just wrong for the products we have most of the time.
yeah, I think like it's just a different approach. And it also kind of depends on where the company is in their life cycle. Like Rush Royale, right? Like grew a lot with a lot of different kinds of marketing approaches from performance marketing all the way through influencer marketing. And now they're at a scale where they can start thinking about these like big picture campaigns that are super fun, that like reach the next kind of circle of people who maybe either haven't seen their game before or like saw it but didn't try it, or re-engage people who have it or who played it a while ago and haven't jumped back in a while. And I think that's a different kind of structure of what a success is than like a brand new game that's like coming out for the very first time, and they want to develop a community and they want direct feedback and things like that.
I guess I was rather talking about hiring somebody very famous, but who is
Ah.
not who is recognizable,
Yeah.
but not present, not known as a person.
Huh. So what do you mean?
Yeah, to hire somebody's face. And on social media, it's not necessarily going to work for the
Yeah.
product who is searching for direct success attribution.
Do you mean someone who like isn't talking about the product but is like kind of an ambassador? So their like face is on the product, but like they don't talk about it. They don't do anything like that.
Oh, they do, but it's just a superficial collaboration, and we've seen such in the past, not done by us, but most of the time, even though the content might get scale, it just doesn't
Yeah,
convert into the product.
totally. Do you think that's because of a misalignment between like the brand of the face and the product? Because like for example, right? I mean, this is so common in beauty on TikTok, right? Like Rhode could not be bigger, but like also Hailey Bieber is the perfect person to have as the ambassador for that, just because of the way that she presents herself, like the way that she was on social media before the brand and all that kind of stuff. But for some brands, it's kind of like, this doesn't make a ton of sense based on the product and the person.
Well, that's that's a different case. It's just like
Yeah.
probably they hired because their boss liked this or that
Yep.
celebrity. It can happen too, but I'm more talking about someone. A lot of musicians, they don't have the personality, and they're not really involving themselves with social media. They do not involve themselves with their fans directly, and that make them celebrities, but do not make them influencers.
Yeah, I was gonna say like in order for an influencer or a celebrity to be an influencer, they need to have that direct line of communication with their audience.
Fans who are willing to buy stuff and do stuff for them or from them, this is what defining their power for the brands.
And that's our show. Thanks for tuning into Influence. It was wonderful having Olga here with us today. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. You can follow us on social media on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more updates and behind the scenes content.